I love Lego and I love film, but sometimes one of these loves one more than the other, not naming any names. Whether it be Lego's projections toward overall interest in a product by fans, or this one rule I might have heard something about, I don't know, I wish there was a video about that. Lego has remained extremely aware of attacking some of pop culture's most iconic properties at the height of their popularity. But where do the not so popular films go for their money-sucking merchandising fix? Nowhere. David Lowery's 2017 film A Ghost Story hardly screams prime merchandising opportunity given its subject matter, but for some people named me has remained at the forefront of IPs I just can't get enough of. In what is arguably my favorite film, A Ghost Story unapologetically floors you with a sublime portrait of grief over time through the eyes of a bedsheet ghost who, by the way, is forced to watch the rest of his life go on without him after a tragic accident. Doesn't exactly sound like Lego set material, does it? So I sat down, thought about it, made some downloads, grabbed some bricks, and said,
"Fine, I'll do it myself."
The result? A happy, snobby cinephile Lego collector whose unhealthy itch for merchandise from a film it feels like no one has seen has finally, at least partially, been satisfied. This MOC is spread across an 8x6 light bluish gray plate and is about 10 bricks high with the exception of the height from the aforementioned plate and 1x1 dark gray tile on top, of course. When I first made the decision to design a MOC based on the film, I knew I wanted to capture one of my favorite shots from it. It was a tie between this shot and a scene involving a U-Haul truck that makes me cry way more than I care to admit, but I ultimately went with the shot I did as it's the scene that delivers a heartbreaking exchange of lines that pretty much encapsulate the entire theme of the film. This model officially marks what is technically my first real MOC, actually being my first experience with Bricklink Studio. I knew that before I began work on it, I didn't want the model to exceed the scale of a miniature vignette style build, so I chose a small section of the house to recreate opposed to designing it entirely. The front of the model is mostly achieved through a combination of 1x2 and 1x4 modified bricks with studs on the sides, topped with several 1x6 tiles to replicate a panel design from the rest of the house. Moreover, regarding that front wall section, I wanted to capture the texture of the peeling paint that's present in the film. To illustrate that, I used light bluish gray pieces on certain areas across the model and even used a 1x4 modified brick with a groove in it to suggest depth in that texture. I also got whatever this is under the window, and I think the colored 1x2 bricks are mirrored almost exactly alike. Other notable details here include this little cute bush section, which I came up with from some trial and error by hand. I definitely like how the diversity in greens came out here on the front as well. The interior is minimal and crammed, but certainly more of an effort than I originally planned on putting in. I mean, here's the Bricklink Studio screenshot I sent my girlfriend of the inside originally. Rather than approach this MOC like most MOC builders and prioritize high detail or realism, I wanted a look that looked something like Lego would actually release, so the more polished look is what I was looking for here. That's not to say, of course, that Lego doesn't detail their products, because they definitely release quality products through categories such as their 18+ stuff, but there's just the right amount of detail to ensure that the product still looks Lego-like and not like a regular lifelike miniature model. As you can see from the inside, there is a limited space containing the titular piano from the film, some floor detail, and a couple of boxes to allude to M moving. Rooney Mara's character is literally named M, like the letter M. I can honestly say I'm most proud of how this piano came out, as I designed it just by playing around with different pieces by hand opposed to pre-designing it digitally. As I mentioned, there is just a little detail to illustrate the slight variation of color in floors that we see on screen, with that corner shape replicated with 3 medium nougat tiles and 2 dark tan ones. I used brown 1x1 cheese slopes on the flaps of the top of the box just to suggest that the insides of the box folded outwards might be a darker shade of brown, or that the boxes might have some tangled brown packing tape on those flaps. Wanted some diversity with those colors. Other than that, the only other thing inside the interior would be C, elevated by a 2x4 brick to fit the framing of the window on the exterior, as well as the little 4-wide piano bench. The window is comprised of 6 1x2 clear bricks and broken up by 1x4 plates to suggest a window pane. C is, of course, visible exactly where he should be, and most of that is because of the 2x4 brick we we talked about. Speaking of C, here's just a look at the minifigure I used to represent him, introduced in the Monster Fighters theme from 2012. Despite C not having a cutout for his mouth in the film, I wanted to keep every element in the set unaltered and 100% real Lego, so I didn't make any changes to the figure. The only real change is that I swapped the 1x2 white brick with a 1x2 white plate on top of it for regular white minifigure legs, just to give him a little added height for that eye line on the outside. C glows in the dark once charged by light, so that's certainly a neat feature to him. The last major building aspect is the construction of the roof, made up of a mix of colored 1x1 tiles to simulate the hodgepodge of colors found atop the on-screen home. The shaping of this section is very simply achieved with a row of 1x2 modified hinge pieces with the appropriate 2x2 modified hinge plates to snap into them. This model consists of 228 pieces and has far more dimension to it than what I initially planned. I'm really happy with how this turned out for the most part, especially considering the fact that it was my first time using Bricklink Studio. Before that, I only designed a lightsaber hilt and Pennywise brickheads digitally in high school with LEGO Digital Designer, but never actually ended up constructing either model physically in real life. I'm pretty content with this for my first time trying something like this, and I think both the LEGO fan and film fan can calmly accept this as the closest we'll probably ever get to some physical object from a ghost story. Even without the R rating, it's hard to picture LEGO producing a product for a film of this nature, especially given its obscurity. If you notice, we definitely get Star Wars and Harry Potter sets way more often than sets based on the Tree of Life. One important thing to remember is that LEGO is a company and companies do business. If an IP isn't already a proven success with a sizable and profitable following, the brand will reasonably avoid that. So this was definitely more of a project I did for my personal collection that I wanted to share with you and challenge myself in giving MOC building a go. Have you seen A Ghost Story? What did you think about it? Are you a fan of the MOC? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Otherwise, I'd like to personally thank you for taking the time to watch this video and sincerely hope I can see you back next time. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and consider subscribing if you like LEGO or film. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye.